But it was a lot deeper than that. It was how am I talking to myself today?
Yeah.
What am I going to choose to say to myself? That you're disgusting and ugly and fat and you should just die? Or that, hey, you can do this. You can work through an injury.
Yeah.
You are capable of being successful.
Have you ever heard the phrase becoming the best version of yourself? Yeah, me too. But what does that even mean? And how do we become that person? I'm here to help you navigate through those questions and come up with actionable steps in order for you to live your best life. We've got to discover what we want. We've got to figure out a plan on how to get there, and then we have to go. We can't just sit and wait any longer. Life won't wait on us. So come join me on this constant journey to become the best version of yourself and to find your best you. I'll see you on the other side. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Best You. I got the one and only Haven Nutt with me here today.
Hey.
I'm super excited to have her. But I've known Haven for a little bit now, and she does a bunch of different things. I have them written down: personal trainer, group fitness trainer. You do kickboxing, paddleboarding, filmmaker, actor, and model. A bunch of different things. But before we even get into that, the way I want to start is I want to take you back to a story that I saw you be a little bit open about on social media. And I want to ask you about the car wreck that you had in Los Angeles and what happened and what that did to you.
Yeah, I lived in LA, I went to Pepperdine University, and I was in a pretty bad car wreck. I was sitting at a red light and I was rear-ended at full speed while I was at a stop. And I have to say this wreck changed my life in a lot of ways. I had to walk on a cane for a few months. I had a really bad back injury, a couple herniated discs, and there were a lot of days that I just couldn't walk. And I think a lot of people that have dealt with injuries and car wrecks and trauma, they typically will agree that you go into a state of depression, you kind of get low. And I was very depressed. I was in a very dark time, very anxious, dealing with insomnia, which they all kind of just fed each other.
Yeah.
I had already dealt with an eating disorder for a long time, and it just made that worse. And it was I wouldn't sleep for 3 nights in a row. And then, it was just a dark time. It just was my lowest of low. And I remember thinking, like, I couldn't possibly be more low than I am now. And I had that sort of come to Haven moment when I was just looking in the mirror and I did not recognize myself.
Yeah.
And there is something about depression that it does change you. And I think there are moments where you don't recognize yourself. I know that people that I know and love who have dealt with this kind of stuff, there are moments that I'm just like, that's not her. That's not him. I don't recognize this person. And I had that moment with myself of like, who are you? Like, I don't recognize these behaviors and what you're thinking and doing. My eyes didn't look like my eyes. And
wow.
I just kind of looked at myself and I said, okay, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah. So how'd you work through it?
I mean, to be honest, I was in a suicidal time. So that moment was key for me of like, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
So for me, it was, okay, I can't get out of bed because my back, I literally feel like a crippled person.
Jeez.
I feel like all I want to do is just eat my sorrows and negative behaviors and just shut off the world.
Yeah.
But today I'm going to do what I can. And if it's walking 10 steps down the beach, then it's going to be 10 steps and I'll come back home. And for that day, it was literally 10 steps.
Yeah, small steps.
It was 10 physical steps down the beach. That's all I could do. And I walked home. But you know what? That was the day that changed everything. The next day, I walked 20 steps.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I said small steps, I meant it was the small steps each and every day that got you.
Oh, yeah. Then the next day I was eventually doing a mile. And then I kind of started jogging a little bit. I started running a sandhill. Every day, it was a little bit more.
Right.
And I don't want to paint this picture that it was perfect uphill battle because that's not how it works. I had days where I crashed and burned, where I didn't want to get up, or my back totally went out on me and then I couldn't walk for a week. Pictures of, making a change in your life are not pretty. And I think a lot of times we hear these stories of like, and I just changed my life and from then on it was better. That's not how it works. It was this the entire time.
So how would you remotivate yourself when those valleys came?
I just remember that moment in the mirror. I remember looking at myself of what are we going to do about it? And it was that moment every day of what are you going to do about it? Okay, your back went out today. What are you going to do about it? Okay, let's stretch. Let's eat really clean. Let's make a smoothie for breakfast. It was healthy choices. And they were food choices first, and then it was exercise choices, but it was a lot deeper than that. It was how am I talking to myself today? Yeah. What am I going to choose to say to myself? That you're disgusting and ugly and fat and you should just die? Or that, hey, you can do this. You can work through an injury. Yeah. You are capable of being successful. And so it was like that change in tone towards myself, and treating myself better. I treated everyone else better. Mm-hmm. And it was just healthy choices. Health is so much deeper than what you're eating and what you're physically doing.
Right. So it was really just kind of the practice of taking those baby steps of making healthy choices nutritionally, physically, and mentally about being able to talk to yourself a lot better. Because like anything, like sports, practice, you're going to get better, but some practices aren't always going to be your best. You're going to have those down times, but it's just about kind of pushing through those times. So your Instagram name has the self-love tag tag to it. So I want you to kind of speak towards, I mean, obviously your story has a play in that, I feel like, but speak towards why it's self-love and what your message wants to be in terms of that.
Yeah. So I started self-love a couple of years ago, and it's really, it's named self-love because as a personal trainer and a wellness coach and a fitness coach and, you know, whatever else you want to call me, I can only do so much for my clients. And I know that because of my own journey. People were there to support me, but it was me who had to take a look at myself and make the first step. It was me that knew what I was going through. No one else could do it for me. They couldn't physically walk for me or physically make the smoothie and make those healthy choices. It was a self-starter. You know, you've got to be a self-starter. And once I kind of came to grips with that of like, I've got a great support system, but they can't do it for me. Right. You know, and you have that helpless moment. You know, we've all had helpless moments in our life of like, God, I don't know what to do. But you've got to do it yourself. Right. And so for me, I want to encourage people and I want to encourage my clients like, hey, I cannot do this for you. And the goal is never that you rely on me. I think I would be a really dishonest person if I led clients to believe like, hey, pay me for the rest of your life and I got you. That's not how it works either. I want them to feel supported and I want to guide them, but I want them to come to grips with the fact that it all comes from their self. Right. And it's going to look different on everyone. The journey to health and happiness is so different on everybody. So, and it comes from themselves. Yeah. So you can have the greatest support system as you want in the entire world, but it definitely has to come from within. And I've mentioned to you before the interview about someone I follow, Lewis Howes, and something that he talks about a lot is how he went through life wanting to prove other people wrong. Right. And that's what drove him to reach his next goal and his next goal. And he would keep achieving these things, but he wouldn't find the happiness or the successful feeling when he actually accomplished those things. And when he had that realization of, I need to do this for myself, not just to prove other people wrong, that's when his mindset and his life changed. To be able to take that next step towards happiness. I always say that the only thing better than proving someone else wrong is proving yourself wrong. It's the best feeling in the world. Think that, to be so stuck in a hole to think, I can't do this and I just won't do it. To prove yourself wrong is the best feeling in the world. It's the greatest achievement. Yeah, 100%. That's cool. And one thing that you did last year, I think you took about 5 weeks. Where you grabbed Dottie, right? That's the name of the van. Yes. Gotcha. Yes. And you went and just traveled the U.S. I want you to talk about why you did that, the decision behind it, and then about the experience and what you learned from that. I wrote something down yesterday. I like to write poetry, and I wrote something down yesterday that is never underestimate the power of a good road trip. I was going through a bad breakup last year, and I was pretty low, and I decided to hitch up my camper and go travel for 5 weeks. I'm a writer and a filmmaker too. I kind of set it up that I could work with my clients virtually and kind of set them up while I was gone. And luckily it all worked out that I was able to go. It was amazing. It was the best thing I ever did. It's the best thing I've done in my life. To go off and sort of tone out and get off my phone and tune in with myself, see new places, meet new people. I had the best conversations. Stopping at a gas station, like who would have thought that I would have a genuinely good conversation? It's because I wasn't doing this.
Right.
And I was talking to people, and I met the most unlikely of friends who I still stay in touch with.
That's cool.
And I saw parts of the country that I've never seen before. And it was just a really, really good experience. And it's completely on brand with what my business is about, which is, you know, self-love. And I'm very much a nature girl, and I'm a believer that to be your best self, you've got to have this in-tuned sense with your surroundings and nature. And
Gotcha.
And that comes with, I mean, it all makes sense because of the whole healthy food thing. I'm a believer of, you know, digging a little deeper and doing what's natural.
Gotcha.
What is in human nature, what is natural for us? Mm-hmm. It's, you know, eating from the earth and, you know, being in tune.
So what do you think your biggest takeaway was that? Is there anything that you kind of go back to on a daily or weekly basis that you learn from there that you maybe apply on, like I said, a daily or weekly basis?
It's taking those steps. Like you just mentioned earlier. For me, last year, I didn't know what to do. I was so heartbroken and really depressed. What do I do about this? Well, I can move. I can take a step. You know, if you sit in the parking spot, you're never going to get anywhere. You can sit in the parking spot all day and think about what to do. But until you're actually moving, it may be the wrong move. It may be the wrong direction. But as long as you're moving, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was moving and I was figuring things out, and I was self-starting in a sense, and I was writing it out and figuring it out. So I just say, get moving.
Okay. Gotcha. That's cool. No, that's awesome. That's definitely a great lesson that most people should take away. So I want to go back to how I started off the interview. You're a personal trainer, kickboxing, paddleboarding, writer, filmmaker, actor, model, all these different things. But like you said, and I do truly believe it does all wrap into your brand and who you want to be and how you portray yourself. But within all these different things that you do you find a constant or a parallel across all of them that's the reason that you do all of them, or the why behind all of them?
Right. Well, I'm a lover of stories. And I'm a lover, and I'm very passionate about seeing changes in people, which is, I think, that common denominator in all of the things in my business. It's someone that sparks a change in themselves. They've got a story to tell. I'm so passionate about it. And I think that's the common factor in all of these things. From the person who came to my paddleboard class who said she could never do a burpee on a paddleboard, what are you thinking, Haven? Who proved herself wrong and did it?
Yeah.
To that small little achievement, it's huge.
Right.
And that parallels to the person in the self-defense class who spoke about her sexual assault for the first time. She's sparking that inner change. To the person who lost 20 pounds because she really, really wanted to, because she would feel better. There's a story there, and it all comes from self-starting.
Yeah.
So
I think that's awesome. When you first said it right off the bat, I'm a story lover. I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
I love stories.
Yeah.
I love a good story.
100%.
Yeah.
So a lot of personal training, as we know, and some of the other things you do is kind of holding other people accountable to trying to motivate themselves to become better and achieve more every single day. What are your conversations like with people to try to hold them accountable to themselves and their goals and how they want to proceed?
It's never, I usually say, you know, when clients approach me and say, okay, what can I do to get here? I need to lose this by this time. I say, okay, well, my answer is probably not going to be what you want to hear, but stick with me.
Right.
Because there's a deeper issue. It's not the 5 pounds that are the issue. There's something below that is the issue. Let's work through it. And I cannot speak for them because I'm not in their brain, I'm not in their heart, and I'm not in their body. And so even though it's usually not what they want to hear, I say, stick with me. Let's get on a track. It's solving your problem is not going to come from losing those 5 pounds.
Right.
That's not going to fix your problem. How many times have people done this in their weight and their problems are still there?
Oh yeah.
You know, it's really a sub problem of a deeper rooted issue. And so I think I approach that when clients come to me as let's talk, and it's very conversational, and it may not be what they want to hear at first because I don't have a magic pill. The perfect equation.
It'd be nice if we did that.
Yeah, right. The perfect equation of numbers doesn't exist for a perfect body, a perfect weight, happiness. There's no equation that exists to create that. So it comes deeper, and, as much as society builds us up to believe that losing those 10 pounds or fitting into that size 2 will solve all of our problems.
Yeah,
it
give us
doesn't.
happiness. It doesn't.
It won't. It never does. Mm-hmm. And it's such an empty, meaningless goal.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think just telling them to stick with me. We've got bigger goals to reach here.
I think that's super powerful, because one of the things that I've learned from coaching in my own studies and working with people is that the word that I really like to use is awaken. Mm-hmm. I think that, you ask somebody right off the bat, what's your goal? Or why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I want to lose 10 pounds. It's like, no, it's not. Give me more.
Right.
And you don't even maybe it's like you're straightforward with them and say, no, it's not. Give me more. Or what does that look like? What are you doing when you've lost those 10 pounds? How is your life different? So it's really about kind of getting down to the root of it and getting them to maybe say something that they don't think about it before, but it just comes out, and you're awakening their inner spirit and their goal about what actually is the root of the problem here.
Get woke. Let's get woke. I know it's so, if you really think about it in hindsight, when you ask people, New Year's resolution season comes around, or anytime someone is trying to make a change, every year we recycle the same goal. I want to get in shape, or I want to lose X amount of pounds. Every year, the same people are saying the same exact goal. Mm-hmm. And I've started this new thing of, asking them, like, okay, well, like, I just don't get it. When is the time going to come that we are making goals? Like, I'd like to be kinder. Right. I'd like to be more present. I'd like to be a better listener. I'd like to be stronger. Yeah. I'd like to be more adventurous and spontaneous, a better friend, a better wife, whatever. Where are these goals? Yeah. Number 1 on the list is always, I want to lose 20 pounds this year. Mm-hmm. Cool. But what does that mean? Yeah. That really makes no sense. Even just go back to like human nature. I mean, think about 1,000 years ago, someone setting a goal as a human being of that. People would scratch their heads and be like, why? Yeah. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. No, what does that mean? Awesome. I'm actually like super pumped that you said that, because it was getting ready to lead into what I was getting ready to say. And it's a mindset issue that people are thinking about what they're against or what they need to avoid instead of what they need to aspire to be or what they're for. Right. So instead of saying I want to lose 10 pounds and thinking about all the negative, what I want to get away from, thinking I want to be able to have 30 minutes where I can run around with my kids and have more time to do all these things. Because if you have that positive experience and the positive vision of yourself down the road in mind, then you stay motivated towards the positive more so than avoiding the negative. Yeah. So I think it's a huge mindset change that people need to be able to develop. And that's exactly what you got to when you talked about resolutions. Why is it I need to lose 10 pounds and not I need to develop kindness or patience or listening and things like that? Every year. Yeah. And I think, to be honest, like, we are in a field that there are some snakes. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of snakes in the grass that say that New Year's, comes around and they get really excited, and they get excited to sell people lies. Yeah. Hey, I've got the solution for you. It's XYZ. XYZ is nothing because it's different on everyone. Yep. And their problems are not, they need to lose 20 pounds. It's so much, So I think I'm excited to have people like you in this industry. And I know a lot of, we're not all bad. I know a lot of really, really genuine, good, good intentioned people in this business who genuinely want to help. Whereas there are some snakes that say, hey, take this product every day for the rest of your life and you will find happiness. And it's just not true. Oh gosh, it's frustrating. It is. I know. It's like, we have a society that sells people lies. I mean, turn on the TV and all the commercials, like generation after generation, we've been selling people because this is where it's at. Because like we talked about, it's easier to attack people at the surface level of you need to avoid this instead of you need to get this, because if you need to get this, maybe it looks like there's a little bit more work and there's going to be challenges in front of it. Right. So those commercials drive me crazy of the pictures side by side and buy this, it's only this amount and you're going to feel great. And it's just like, it makes me sick. I know. I agree. Speaking towards goals and stuff like that, how do you go about making goals for yourself or making what you want to do down the road and visualize that to yourself? Do physical goals exist for me? Absolutely. Always. I'm not one to say that I I love my body every single day and it's exactly where I want to be.
Right.
I'd be a liar if I said that. Do I struggle with self-love? Yes. That's part of being a human being. So yes, I set physical goals, but I try to always root them in something very meaningful. Like, I want to be a better cook, so I want to do this. I want to be more rooted in nature, so I'm going to start a garden.
Right.
I want to be more adventurous. I want to be more present. I want to be a better worker, more energized in my work. So I will get up at 4 a.m. and do yoga every morning before I go to work. Right. It's, they're usually rooted in other things. Like, I want to be better in my relationships and, but I do have physical goals. And I definitely, I'm not one to, and my business is kind of set up and then I want to get people away from the counting and calculating.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, there is no equation that leads to health and happiness. Right. And so for me, when I stopped counting calories and I stopped over reading the numbers on labels, I read ingredients every time. Right. I don't eat something that I don't read ingredients on. But the numbers and calculating them and doing, no offense, but the Fitbit and doing calculating exercise. No, it's I used to years ago. And the second I let all the numbers go and I stopped weighing myself every day is when I found freedom.
Because you're rooting it in something meaningful.
Right.
Instead of just a number.
Right.
That doesn't really mean anything to you.
There was freedom in that. And so it's, again, to my clients, they don't want to hear that because they want to hear that in 2 weeks they can fit into this. So I say, stick with me. We're going to get you out of the counting mindset. The Fitbit is coming off. We're not counting our calories. We're not making sure that we burned so many calories in our workout. It's not about that. Yeah. It's not about calories in and calories out. We know more now.
Yeah.
And so I try to get people on a track that is freedom of a healthy, happy lifestyle without calculating and counting everything and being obsessive. Right. Because that's not a good quality.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we could talk about this stuff all
Yeah,
I know.
I know.
It's awesome though. But I feel like we're both so excited, like frustratingly a little bit. Yeah, we just want to pursue it forward.
We're just putting it all on the
Yeah, I know. But I want to move towards something we talked about before we hopped in this interview, and it was the new movie that you just kind of worked on, because I think it's super cool towards what your kind of whole mission is with all these things that you do. So I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, totally. It is. And I got the idea. I went to college for filmmaking, and I've been a filmmaker pretty much since I was a kid, honestly. But I was kickboxing one day, which is where I always do my best thinking and my best kind of, all my best ideas
a meditative state.
Yeah, for sure. I just kind of black out and do my best thinking when I'm kickboxing. Everyone has their thing.
For me, it's mowing the lawn.
Oh, nice. Yeah. See, everyone has their thing.
Yeah, I don't get to do
really
that
random.
Here,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was kickboxing and I got my certification in self-defense. I've been working on that since last year and, still growing in that. There's never an end goal there. I want to keep improving there. But I was working on that. So I started teaching self-defense and I was kickboxing and just had a lot of ideas. I was thinking about a lot of women over the last year who came forward and the domino effect that happened. And as I was hitting the bag, I found myself crying and I was really moved. Just thinking about a lot of the people that I know and the people that I don't know personally, that I just heard stories about. And I thought of an idea for a film to kind of put them all as a little scrapbook, and tell a story about it. And then I thought, okay, and then that would incorporate self-defense and kickboxing. I could do some cool kickboxing footage in it. And one thing led to another. And the next week, we were going down to Louisiana to shoot. Just me, Chris Hopkins, my camera guy, just crew of 2. Went down to Louisiana because we were shooting it for a film festival competition called LA Film Prize. And I partnered with a domestic violence shelter and sexual assault shelter called You Are Not Alone. It's in Shreveport. Norma Whitaker runs it, and she is an amazing woman. We talked on the phone. We instantly knew this is the perfect connection. She said a lot of, it's such a sensitive topic that a lot of women don't want to talk about it, aren't ready yet, or it's too sensitive to do on camera.
Right.
But she said, I've got some women who are really eager to talk and be a part of your film. So I decided to host a self-defense class for all the women. We brought them dinner. We had sort of an evening event. And then we got to sit down and talk to some survivors who told their stories. And it was a tragically beautiful day. It was very cathartic. It was very serendipitous. We all kind of came together, and it happened to be a full moon.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm a little bit gooey. And then I was like, wow, on a full moon, all of these women, we didn't know each other before today. And right now we are sitting here crying and telling our stories together. And it was just a really beautiful but tragic gathering. And it was a day that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And we shot that film pretty much in a day and a half. And it features kickboxing and some self-defense footage and a lot of different women telling their stories their way in voiceover form. The logline in the film is "No one tells her story but her." And so I wanted to stand true to that, and that everyone in the film got to tell their story their way. No one told it for them, because it's about damn time that happened.
There you go. What do you want the movie to get across? What do you want viewers and watchers of the movie to feel when they watch it? I wouldn't say it's easy to watch. It's kind of dark. I want it to be an expression that people can empathize with if they can't directly personally understand it. What it feels like to be sexually assaulted or abused. The feelings of it. And it kind of takes you through the process. Right.
No two are alike. And I think everyone can agree on that. No two are alike. It's just like a health journey. It's just like, finding joy and happiness.
Right.
That journey is different on everybody. And so it's kind of this scrapbook experience of what it feels like to go through something like that. The arc of it, the emotional arc. And I really wanted to point out in the film the physical expression of it all. And for me, in my process and in my journey through my experience, it's been kickboxing as a physical expression to express things that I couldn't find words to express.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
No, very cool. I can't wait I want to watch this so badly
thank
now.
you.
I know it's, like you said, it's going to be dark, but I think it's going to be so powerful and meaningful.
Thank you.
I want to see it.
I really hope so.
But with one of the questions I like to ask everybody towards the end is, how old are you now?
27.
27. Okay, in 10 years, you're going to be 37. You've got goals, aspirations for things that you want to do, things that you want to create in the world and get done. 37-year-old Haven, what does she look like? What has she done? What's next for you? What do you want to accomplish by then?
I see it pretty clearly, to be honest. I mean, what I love about life is that, if you told me I would be here a year ago doing what I'm doing, I had a lot different plans a year ago.
Right.
And so I have a clear picture, but the great thing is it's probably going to look different. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love not knowing. I do see myself, I bought land recently. It's lakefront land, and I'm building my house. So my house is under construction, and the basement is going to be a finished out gym. And I've got my paddleboard company down there on the water is already kind of up and running. I'm doing paddleboard fitness classes. That's kind of my place, my thing. And then I have a lot of basically like little glamping tiny homes that I'm going to build. And I want to have this fitness retreat space. Really, I wouldn't even call it a fitness retreat. It's more like a self-love retreat.
You can say it.
Where you can come. I want to have a big garden and, fresh free-range eggs, and people can come and stay, get off their phones. It's going to be a disconnected and unplugged experience. Yeah. So when people check in, they give their phones to me. I give them a map. They have a trail to their home that they're staying in. There's going to be a disposable camera on their pillow, and they check in to check out and check in with themselves. So basically it's kind of like a spa retreat, and that they pick from the menu. Like, I want a personal training session. I want paddleboard yoga in the morning. And then I want this meal for breakfast. And then I want to do a self-defense class. And then here's my lunch. So they sort of pick from the menu. And they just get to disconnect and reconnect with themselves, nature, real conversations if they're with someone, or, just that alone time, that genuine present time that is really neglected. We live in a very overstimulated, addicted society. Definitely. I mean, we're just a society of addicts, and no one admits it. We're always doing this. We're always, it's bam, bam, bam. Yeah. It's so overstimulated. And so I want to create a haven, pun intended.
There you go.
It's actually going to be called Heart Haven because the land is actually directly in the heart of Tennessee. On a map, it's where the heart lies. And so, and the town is called Hartsville.
Wow.
And so it's going to be called Heart Haven, a haven in the heart of Tennessee. And I just want to create a space where people feel safe to better themselves and just kind of take a break.
Gotcha.
Check in.
I want to come. I'm excited.
Yeah, you've got to come out.
Yeah, 100%. So before I ask the last question, I want to acknowledge you for a second for having the sense and wherewithal to find that root and what I said, the word awaken, and try to bring it out of people and make them realize what it is that they actually want to accomplish, and not, instead of just losing the 5 or the 10 pounds, and wanting to empower people to feel stronger and to bring themselves up through your experiences and everything like that. So I think this is awesome, and this has been such a fun interview.
Thank you.
Also, let everybody know, so when you got the retreat up and running, where can people find you online, social media, all that kind of stuff? So
my Instagram handle is haven_self-love, and then my website is havenselflove.com. Find me on Facebook, Haven Nutt. And yeah, it's funny. We live in such a social media generation. I've got my website, but most people that want to book a paddleboard class or whatever, it's a DM on Instagram.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
There I am, Haven Self-Love. Yeah.
Very good. Slide into her DMs.
Slide into them.
So the way I always finish is I ask the same question to everybody. Is I've communicated my passion and just wanting to help people become the best version of themselves, find their best you. And I hate cliches, but I think that this one's here for a reason. I think that there's action steps that people need to take. And I think it's a constant journey. I don't know if we're ever at that best version of ourselves. We always strive to be. But my question that I want to ask for you personally is, if you could do 3 things or work on 3 things to help become the best version of yourself, what are those 3 things that you could do or work on to become that best Haven Nutt?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's hard. 3 things to be better. Procrastinate less.
Okay.
I'm kind of one that jumps. I'll start a project and then I'll jump to the next. And then I'll go back and finish them. But I think I could procrastinate less. Be more present. That's something I would like to think of myself as a present person, but I think we can all work on being more present off of our phones.
You realize the importance of that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Get off our phones. And when we're having this conversation, how refreshing is it that we're not on our phones, that we're actually talking? This is one of the best conversations I've had in weeks. So thank you for having me. Be more present for sure. Gosh, I guess be more of a giver. Okay. I think that, and that includes being a giver to myself. I think we think of, how can I help? Especially when we're in this field of work. How can I help others? Well, you know what? Sometimes you need to work on some stuff inside. Yeah. I've got flaws and things I need to work on first. So I think being a giver to myself and others would just make me a better person at this point. So yeah, being a giver.
Awesome. Well, boom. That's all we got. Nice job.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
I really appreciate it.